For decades, Andrew has been known as a prince of the realm. Now he is being called something else entirely. An exile in waiting. If you were told that Andrew has already secured a lavish palace in Bahrain, complete with staff, security, and a promise of diplomatic protection from consequences, you might think it was tabloid fantasy. But according to multiple sources with knowledge of the arrangements, this is not speculation. This is a carefully constructed escape plan that has been years in the making, and the timing is no coincidence. Royal Lodge is being emptied. The title Prince has been stripped. The connection to the British monarchy is being severed piece by piece. But while the world watches Andrew's public humiliation unfold, something else is happening behind the scenes. He is preparing to leave the UK permanently, and Bahrain has rolled out the red carpet. According to royal author Andrew Lonai, who has researched Andrew's international connections extensively, the former Duke of York has maintained close ties with the Bahraini royal family for years. Those ties now appear to be paying dividends. Sources say Andrew has been promised use of a palace in Manama. Not a modest residence. A palace. The arrangement reportedly includes full household staff, private security, and most importantly, distance from British jurisdiction and media scrutiny. On paper, this sounds like a generous offer from an old friend. In reality, it raises far more troubling questions. Why would Bahrain offer such extravagant accommodations to someone the British royal family is actively trying to distance itself from? What does Andrew have to offer in return? And what happens when a disgraced royal with a tarnished reputation sets up permanent residence in a foreign monarchy? The answers are not being made public. But royal insiders say the arrangement has caused significant concern at Buckingham Palace, because this is not just about where Andrew lives. It is about control. As long as Andrew remains in the UK, even at a remote property on the Sandringham estate, the firm maintains some level of oversight. They can monitor his movements, limit his public appearances, manage the narrative, but once he is in Bahrain, that control disappears. Andrew becomes a free agent. And a free agent with a history of poor judgment, questionable associations, and a massive grudge against the institution that cast him out is a liability the monarchy cannot afford. Sources close to King Charles say the Bahrain plan has been discussed at the highest levels. Not openly, not in formal meetings, but in private conversations between the king and his closest advisors. The consensus is clear. If Andrew leaves for Bahrain, he cannot be allowed to return easily. And he cannot be allowed to represent himself as a member of the royal family in any capacity, which is why the title stripping happened when it did. The timing was deliberate. Before Andrew could establish himself abroad with the credibility of royal status intact, that status had to be removed. Officially, permanently, publicly, Andrew is reportedly furious about the Bahrain situation being exposed. He believed the arrangement could remain private. A quiet escape without fanfare or scrutiny. But leaks to the press have made that impossible. Now the world knows he is planning to flee. And the optics are devastating. Don't go anywhere. What we uncover next reveals the financial web connecting Andrew to Bahrain, and why the firm is terrified of what he might do once he is beyond their reach. Here's where the story gets much darker. Andrew's connection to Bahrain is not just about friendship or hospitality. It is about money. And the financial arrangements surrounding this palace deal are raising alarm bells at every level of the British establishment. According to sources familiar with Andrew's finances, he has been financially vulnerable for years. Royal Lodge itself became a burden he could barely afford to maintain. The £250,000 annual upkeep was reportedly straining his resources. And yet, somehow, Andrew has continued to live a lifestyle that far exceeds his known income. Where is the money coming from? The Mail reported that Andrew has received financial support from wealthy individuals in the Middle East. Some of those individuals have connections to the Bahraini royal family. And some of those connections have raised questions about what Andrew might have promised in return. Royal watchers have long noted that Andrew has styled himself as a trade envoy and business facilitator. Even after stepping back from official duties, he maintained relationships with foreign businessmen and government officials. Those relationships were often framed as networking. But insiders say they were transactional. Andrew traded on his royal status. He opened doors, made introductions, lent credibility to deals. And in return, he received payments. Sometimes directly, sometimes through intermediaries. Always quietly, the Bahrain Palace is reportedly part of that transactional network. Sources say the offer is not purely altruistic. It comes with expectations. Andrew is expected to continue facilitating connections between British and Bahraini business interests. He is expected to provide access to networks he still maintains despite his official removal from royal duties, and he is expected to remain loyal to those who have supported him financially. This is what terrifies Buckingham Palace. Because a disgraced royal living abroad, beholden to foreign financial backers, is not just embarrassing. It is a security risk. Andrew has access to information. He has relationships with people who still hold positions of influence in the UK. And if he becomes financially dependent on foreign entities, those entities gain leverage. Royal aides reportedly warned Andrew about this exact scenario years ago. They told him his financial entanglements would eventually become a problem. They urged him to simplify his affairs and distance himself from questionable associations. Andrew ignored them. Now, as he prepares to leave for Bahrain, those entanglements are coming into sharper focus. And the firm is scrambling to limit the damage. One strategy being discussed is a financial severance of sorts. Cutting off any remaining official support Andrew receives from the royal family. No more allowances from the duchy. No more use of royal properties. No more security funded by the state. The goal is to make it clear that Andrew is acting independently. That he does not represent the crown. That his decisions and associations are his own, but there is a risk to this approach. If Andrew is cut off financially, he becomes even more dependent on his Bahraini benefactors. And that dependency gives them even more control over him. It is a lose-lose situation. And the firm knows it. Meanwhile, Sarah Ferguson's role in all of this remains murky. She is expected to leave Royal Lodge alongside Andrew. But whether she will join him in Bahrain is unclear. Some sources say she has been offered accommodations there. Others say she is exploring separate options. What is clear is that Sarah's financial situation is equally precarious. Her debts have been well documented. Her lifestyle has consistently outpaced her income. And like Andrew, she has relied on wealthy benefactors to stay afloat. If both of them end up in Bahrain, financially dependent on the same network, the potential for disaster multiplies. Because two disgraced royals with money problems and poor judgment, living abroad under the financial patronage of a foreign monarchy, is a scandal waiting to explode, and the British press will not stop digging. Stay with us. Because what comes next exposes the one thing Andrew fears more than exile: the complete erasure of his identity. Now we arrive at the most devastating truth of all. Andrew's fall from grace is not just about losing titles, or properties, or public standing. It is about losing his identity. And that loss is breaking him in ways the public has not fully grasped. According to sources close to the family, Andrew has always defined himself by his royal status. From childhood, he was raised to believe he was special, protected, untouchable. His sense of self was built entirely on the foundation of being a prince. Now that foundation is gone, and without it, Andrew is struggling to understand who he is. The teddy bears are not just quirky nostalgia. They are symbols of a time when his world made sense. When he had a place. When he was loved and protected and valued. Royal psychologists, speaking off the record, have described Andrew's current mental state as fragile. The nighttime removals from Royal Lodge. The refusal to engage with the process. The obsession with objects and spaces. These are not just logistical inconveniences. They are symptoms of someone grappling with profound loss, but the firm cannot afford to be sympathetic, because Andrew's identity crisis is not their responsibility. Their responsibility is protecting the monarchy. And that means ensuring Andrew cannot use his former status to damage the institution further. The title stripping was designed to accomplish exactly that. By removing the formal designation, Prince Andrew, the palace has signaled that he no longer speaks for the crown. That his actions are his own. That he is, in every legal and symbolic sense, a private citizen, but Andrew has not accepted this reality. Sources say he continues to refer to himself as a prince in private. He corrects people who do not use his former title. He clings to the identity that has been legally stripped from him, and that refusal to accept reality is creating new problems. Because if Andrew arrives in Bahrain and continues to present himself as a member of the British royal family, the palace will have no way to stop him. They can issue statements. They can clarify his status. But they cannot control what he says, or how he behaves once he is outside UK jurisdiction. This is the nightmare scenario the firm has been preparing for. An ex-royal, living abroad, trading on a title he no longer holds, making deals and statements that reflect badly on the monarchy. And doing so from a position where British law cannot touch him. Royal aides have reportedly drafted contingency plans for this exact situation. If Andrew misrepresents himself in Bahrain, the palace will issue public corrections. They will clarify his status in the strongest possible terms. They will, if necessary, pursue legal action to prevent him from using royal branding or imagery, but those are reactive measures. And the damage will already be done. Meanwhile, Andrew's emotional state continues to deteriorate. Friends say he oscillates between anger and despair. He blames the media. He blames the palace. He blames everyone except himself. And as the 2026 deadline for leaving Royal Lodge approaches, the reality of his situation is becoming impossible to ignore. He is being erased. Not just from the royal family, but from the narrative of the monarchy itself. Future royal histories will mention him briefly. A cautionary tale. A scandal. A mistake, but he will not be remembered as a prince. He will be remembered as the man who fell. And that realization is destroying him. Sarah Ferguson, by contrast, appears to have accepted her fate with more grace. Sources say she understands that her association with Andrew has cost her dearly. But she also recognizes that she has options. Book deals. Speaking engagements. Media opportunities. She can rebuild. Andrew cannot, because Sarah was never defined solely by her royal status. She was always Sarah first. Duchess second. Andrew was always prince first. Everything else was secondary, and now that the title is gone, there is nothing left. The Bahrain escape plan is not really an escape. It is a retreat. A final acknowledgement that Andrew has no place in the UK anymore. That the life he once knew is over. That the identity he clung to has been taken from him, and the most tragic part is that he still does not understand why. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Andrew will actually leave for Bahrain? Or will he continue to drag his feet, clinging to Royal Lodge and the last remnants of his former life? And if he does go, what happens when a disgraced royal tries to reinvent himself in a foreign monarchy? Let me know what you think. And if you found this video eye-opening, subscribe for more exclusive royal revelations.